Just I'll be configuring the PPT sharing and then we'll be starting up today. So I guess it's fine now. So good afternoon, everyone. And I hope I always hope and I start with this that you all are safe and doing well. Fine. So few things I want to add up. So did you complete your assignments? Yes, have you submitted your assignments? All of you have submitted it or not? Okay, Shiva, fine, Smith, fine. Because see, whatever you submit there, that will be evaluated. There is no offline tracking of certain things. Fine. So, better please make it doubly sure that you have submitted it, since because your evaluations will be done there only on the particular content of BB. The evaluations will be taken up there only and available there only. Fine. So I would like to ask if there is any confusion in the previous topics. Yes, any confusion in the previous topics? What we did in the last class? We were discussing about the network topologies. There were certain types of connections we discussed. There are different types of architectures we discussed. There is different type of topologies where we have feed forward, recurrent, and certain terminologies about input layer, hidden layer. So all of these things we studied. So any confusion to anyone regarding this? Any confusion to anyone regarding this? Regarding network topologies, the types of connection, the architecture, any confusion anybody have in that? Yes, Bache, if any confusion is there, please ask it. Okay, Vikas, thank you. I'm waiting for a few more responses if any doubt is still there, so that we can just otherwise move on further. Fine, Ismi, thank you all of you. So now for today's class, we'll be moving up with learning methods. Okay, it's okay, Vikas. So be going with learning methods. So I will ask you what according to you is learning. You have to type in text the chat like what is according to you the learning is. We have discussed it so many times with different set of examples. So what according to you is learning? I want an answer from you. What according to you is learning? Yes, what according to you is learning? Yes, everyone. Please reply what you have learned. What is learning? We have discussed it number of times. What according to you is learning? Yes, anybody who can tell me what is learning? Nobody knows this thing? Yes, nobody knows this thing? Now I started getting answers. Let me check. Knowledge acquired through study. Learning means organization of neuron. No. We are not getting to the desired answer I want. We have gone through so many things about learning. I'm waiting for more answers. What according to you is learning relating to neural network? What is learning? All of you please reply. What according to you is learning? Yes, all of you please respond to this. What is learning? So I got one more response. Way of updating weights. Ayusha, why we want to update the weights? You are partially correct, or it is incomplete sentence. Why we need to update the weights? This is we need to mention along. So I got more answer. Let me check it to get our desired. Yes. So I wait for a few more answers. or otherwise I'll point out the persons who never respond. I know all of you are just listening, or you are just trying to do the things side by side, but I want answers too so that I can see whether you are working or not. So let me ask a question through poll. I'm asking a question through poll. Wait for a while, I'm typing. So all of you please respond through the poll. Yes, quickly all of you answer. 31 still left to respond. All of you had your lunch? Is lunch making you sleepy or something else is going on? Supreet didn't have his lunch. Very good. So 22 with no response. That is what is going on. You people are sleepy, or I don't know where you are engaged. Ankit, Anurag, Avinash, Vedanta, Dipankar. So I'm stopping up this poll and I'll wait for the next poll so that I can see all of your responses. Fine. So basically from the learning definition, we got this. In learning, the weights are updated iteratively to get the desired output. Fine. This is the broad definition of learning. We are not now see the responses coming up because I narrated the answer. So the responses are coming up now. So let me end up this poll. So in general, we will have three learning methodologies in neural networks. We will have three learning methodologies. Out of the three, one is what we are actually using till date. So what we are going to do today is the different strategies of learning. Fine. So the three different strategies are supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning. Kindly note down the names: supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning. These are the three types of learning we have. Fine. So whatever we have covered till date is falls under the category of supervised learning. And we will be majorly focusing upon supervised learning because this is having more applications in real world when like we have the training data, right? So what now is learning? What we have discussed, it's a mechanism by which neural network can adjust its weights so as to achieve the final output. Fine. The learning is a process by which free parameters of neural network are adapted through simulation from the environment. Fine. Environment means the data. Like simulation from the data, whatever the data is available, it learns from that. Okay, so firstly we are going to discuss majorly about supervised learning. So what supervised learning is, where we know the particular output for a particular input. That means the input and the desired output pairs are given as a training set. That means your training data is containing input as well as output. Okay, can any one of you explain me the difference between training data and testing data? Can any one of you explain me the difference between training data and testing data? Have anybody heard about this? The training data and testing data. Can anybody raise up hand voluntarily? Yes, do you know what is training data and testing data? Okay, so let me check. Smith saying no. So I wait for a few more answers. That nobody knows what is training and what is testing data. What is training and testing data? Okay, so I'll take an example of it and then we will work upon. So let us have some data, like I have certain set of input X and then I have input Y and then have I output Z. There is certain, I have say 1,000 such records. I have 1,000 such records, means this table is having 1,000 rows where I have certain values of X and Y. I have here 1 and 2, the output is coming to be 2. Any set of values, I have say 1,000 values, 1,000 such rows in this particular table. Fine. So I have 1,000 rows in particular table. So what I suppose is, now for all these thousand, I know the output as well as the input. Is it clear? For all of these thousand, my input versus output is known. Like for this particular input, I am going to get this particular output. Okay. So what I do when I work up with any machine learning algorithm or any particular neural network learning algorithm, so what I do is I divide this data in some ratio. Like general ratio used is 70 is to 30. 70 is to 30. That means like out of these 1,000 I have taken 700 for training and 300 for testing. Fine. 300 for testing and 700 for training. Now what it will actually mean, these 700 I will use the model to moderate its weights. Fine. These 700 values I'll be providing to the network to get its weight fixed so that my model is trained. The trained model will have the weights tuned so as to achieve the desired output. Fine. When once my model is trained, then for testing, what I will do, say I have for testing data, I have a value here 3, 4, and here it is coming to be say 4. Fine. So what for testing data I will do, I will only provide input. I will only provide input and manually check whether it is coming to my desired output or not. This is testing or developed model. With the 700 records, you have developed a model which is fine-tuned to get the desired response. Fine. So when your model is trained, once your model is trained, you are going to provide only the inputs. You are going only to provide the inputs and then check whether it is coming to be same or not, as pointed out in your data set. So when training and testing is done, your model is ready for prediction of real values. Like when now I will take up any set of values, say I have value here 5 and 6, but I actually don't know the output. I have trained my model, I have tested it. Now my model is ready to predict. With 5 and 6, I'll get to know what is the actual output in this scenario. Is this example clear to all of you or not? Yes, all of you, please tell me whether it is clear or not. Yes, whether it is clear or not. What is training and what is testing? Okay, so wherever you will have a data set from like Kaggle or any machine learning repository, you take up some data set of say 5,000 record, 200 record, any number of rows will be there in that CSV file. Fine. So as a designer, it is your job to sort it out into 70s to 30. Or when you are working with the tools like MATLAB and Python, they have the inbuilt option where you have to select this ratio. The most generic ratio used is 70 is to 30 because it is tested by the researchers that this ratio gives the maximum accuracy of the model. If I take up the ratio of 70 is to 30, so this will give me the maximum accuracy. Fine. So what is designer doing nowadays? It is going toward achieving the maximum accuracy. So one of the factors by which accuracy will be improved is keeping up this ratio as 70 is to 30. We'll be taking training versus testing as 70 is to 30. Fine. So from this example, we have two inputs and one output. Can anybody tell me what will be the number of neurons in the input layer? The number of neurons in the input layer. What will be the number of neurons in the input layer? If I take up this raw data, like I have X, Y as input and Z as output, how many number of neurons in the input layer are required? Again, I think I asked through poll because I want to see whether everyone is working. I'm just typing a question. Yes, quickly. We have this data like X, Y, Z, where X and Y are inputs and Z is output. So how many number of input layer neurons need to be there to implement this data set? Twenty-nine, no response. All of you kindly see the carefully the data what I'm talking about and how many neurons will be required to get this data done. 25, no response. A big number. What all are doing today? This is a very simple thing I have asked. Abhishek, Avinash, Vedanta, Dipankar, the same names coming up. Kartikeya Sharma, Kshitij Mittal. Then I have Kunal Rasood, Muskan Gupta, Nirmit, Shiva, Puneet, Rajnandan, Ruchit, Satyam, Seval, Shubham, Shubhamacharya, Yamini, Suraj, Twinkle, Umra, Vipul. So calling up so many names, I got 2 responses. So let me stop up this now because we need to move further with the topic. So when I talk about supervised learning, the only thing I have is I will have the input as well as the desired output known to me. The input and its output is provided as a data, as a training data, and then the parameters are adjusted so as to get my things done. So wherever I talk about supervised learning, there will be the knowledge of desired output known to the programmer. The desired output is known to the programmer. Now see here what I have told you, that we divide our labeled observation. Labeled observation is where you know the output class. Like the example written here is like if I have a data set of some shoes or socks, so every value corresponding to shoe will be labeled as shoe and every value corresponding to socks will be labeled as socks. Fine. So whatever, say I have 1000 data as labeled observation here. Here I have 1000 here, what I have discussed in the previous example, 1000 here. So I taken 700 for training and testing I have taken as 300. Fine. So these 700 will make my model learn. This will train my model. Then once my model is ready, then I provide these 300 images where I am testing my model to get the desired stats of the particular observations. Fine. So any doubt about any like supervised learning to any till date, whatever we have studied falls in the category of supervised learning. So any doubt to anyone in supervised learning? Supervised learning is the one where we know the input as well as output. The desired response is known to the is provided in the training data itself. Is it clear about supervised learning? Is it clear about supervised learning? Okay, so I'll be giving you one more question. Say I have X. The data table I have drawn, is it for supervised learning or not? Yes, quickly all of you answer. 45 no respondent to this one word answer, which will take action of second to answer. I don't know why today your class is not responding. This is simple one word answer where I can expect the answer very quickly. I've told it like 10 times. Okay, Smith, I'll repeat better. But I expect few more answers from this poll, then I'll be repeating. Okay, and for the information of everyone, I'm just letting you know that on Monday in your first lecture, we will have your surprise test. Your surprise test for Unit 1 I'll be conducting on Monday. So all of you please be ready with that. Fine. So because there is one window like the time constraint, the date constraints are provided like in which we have today. I was about to take it today, but the information was not conveyed to you in the previous class. That is why I have taken it today. Okay. So I'll do it in your next class. So be ready with the answer, like the facilities around you. Like if you want to do it on paper, and please be ready with the like phone camera where you will click and snip and upload. Otherwise, you can just type your answer there. Whatever the way you want to explain, it's I'm leaving up to you only. Okay, so I am ending up this poll. So see this table carefully here. Yeah, no, Supreet, it will not be MCQ based. It will be like explanatory question. You will have to write the steps also for the calculations or whatever the things are given. Fine. So this particular supervised data training data is why it is supervised, because we have the inputs as well as outputs known to us. You can see this is X and Y, and the corresponding Z is also provided. So wherever I talk about supervised learning, this is whatever we have done till date. We know the desired output. We calculate the difference between the observed output and desired output and perform weight adaptation. This is what we have done till date. Fine, this is all about supervised learning, what we have done till date about neural networks. The perceptron, the MP neuron, everyone is falling under the category of supervised, like where I know my desired output, where the knowledge of desired output is there, and I take up that desired output to calculate the difference between observed desired output and perform weight adaptation. Smith, is it clear now? What is supervised learning? Learning is weight updation. Supervised learning is according to the desired response, as desired response is provided to us. So whatever we know about learning till date is supervised learning. Fine. So next will be unsupervised learning, where I don't have the knowledge of the particular data. So this is all you can read upon, like supervised learning, where input and output mapping is provided, where we know that this is a particular kind of input, this is a particular kind of output, and this is also known as learning with a teacher. Learning with a teacher. This is supervised learning's another name, learning with a teacher, where we know the desired response. Fine. So is it clear with supervised learning to everyone? Yes, is everyone clear with supervised learning? Okay, so let me move further. This is unsupervised learning now. Now, in unsupervised learning, the desired response is unknown. The desired response is unknown. No error information can be used to improve network behavior. Fine. Suitable weight self-validation mechanisms have to be embedded in the trained network. No external teacher or critics, because we don't have any knowledge of desired output. Task independent measure of quality is required to learn. Network parameters are optimized with respect to competitive learning rule. The learning rule for unsupervised learning is competitive learning rule. So now we know that there is no desired output knowledge. Fine. So now how the network will be trained, this is very barely or rarely used. The unsupervised learning is used in like very least conditions. So what is being done here? Say I have, now I'll take one more example on this. I'll have this data. X and Y. Now I am just having the knowledge of X and Y. I don't know the corresponding Z. I just know the inputs. Say I have X, Y, 1, 2, any set of data. I'm taking 3, 4, fine. So here I have 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, fine. So what unsupervised learning model do is it identifies the pattern in the data itself. It identifies the pattern in the data itself and group the data together. Now, is the simplest language we can see up here. If I mark a line here, if I mark a line here, this is some data corresponding to observations which are non-binary. Fine. The observations in the lower end are binary. This is what I am examining through visual perception. Fine. So how network will learn? Network will find out the mutual information between the data itself. So it will group the data according to some similarity, like which of the data is similar, it will be grouped together and one class output is generated for that particular data. For the second set of data, it will again like combine the similar data together and assign one class label. So in unsupervised learning, the data is statistically analyzed to predict the similarity amongst the data, to find out the similar instances of the data. When the similarities are find it out, it will assign a common class label to them. Is it fine? How it is performing classification? It is finding out the similarity in the data itself. एक सिंपल सी बात ये लेके चल रहा है, जो भी डाटा एक चीज को बिलोंग कर रहा है वो सिमिलर होगा. जो भी डाटा किसी एक क्लास को बिलोंग कर रहा है, दैट मेड टू बी अ सिमिलर इन सम सेंस. हमने यहाँ पे क्लास रख दी, क्लास ए है नॉन बाइनरी, क्लास बी है बाइनरी. ठीक है जी. So it analyzed the data wherever it find it out the non-binary data, it combined together in and assigned a class label. So it is actually assigning the output itself. It is assigning the output itself. Fine. So with supervised learning, we know the desired response. With unsupervised learning, there is no knowledge of desired response. Unsupervised learning is discovering hidden patterns in the data. It is analyzing the hidden patterns in the data itself. Fine. So data is analyzed statistically to find out the similar properties amongst the data. Those points which are similar will be combined together to form one cluster. Those data sets which are common in some other sense, they will be forming some other cluster. Since you don't know what is outcome, actually there is no way to determine how accurate they are. The accuracy for these kind of systems cannot be determined, making some supervised machine learning more applicable to real world problems. So the more suitable choice is the supervised machine learning, which is actually in use because we have the training data for everything where we have the labeled observations. Okay, so because the labeled observations are available to us, then why we go for this kind of learning where we don't know the output? Yes, in some situations only where we know the input attributes, like we have certain shopping sites in which you are just surfing, you are not placing any order. That surfing is your like particular input data. Yeah, like you placed a filter for some kind of dress and age, so that are your input parameters. Fine. So the self-learning map neural network will keep a record of your data, and then automatically it checks your behavior from that data only. That yes, you are more prone toward finding out a dress of this type. So the similar suggestions will be generated for you. Fine. Is it clear now? Yes. Is it clear? All of you. I know it's a bit like tough to understand the things, but just try to go with the patterns, whatever I have like conveyed to you. Is it clear? Supervise. Yes, Jan, you want to discuss something? Okay, just wait for a while. Sian, I'll be making you presenter. You can speak up better. Okay, you just agreed. It's fine. There is no point of any conflict, I guess. But I just want the things to be clear to you. This is only my motive. So basically, supervised learning is the complete training data set where we have the knowledge of desired response as well as the inputs. But in case of unsupervised learning, we are only provided with the input data. So the machine learning model or the neural network particularly is finding out the properties of the data itself. It is finding out the patterns of the data and then assigning a class label. Fine. So which is more preferred one? Supervised learning. Why? Because we know the desired response. We can, like when we know the desired response, we can make the updations in the way to get the desired response. So the accuracy can be achieved up to 100% with these machine learning models, the supervised models. We can go up to accuracy of 100%. When we achieve our desired response, that means error is reduced to zero. Fine. So the best time to use unsupervised learning is when you do not have the desired outcomes. The system intakes and learns there is a recurring pattern in one type of items value and the other. Fine. So wherever we know that output, we will go up with supervised. Wherever we don't know the output, we will have to go with unsupervised learning. Fine. So next is basically your the reinforcement learning that I'll take up in the next class because I don't want to overburden you. So now I'll be giving you one question to solve so that a practice for the test can be done because we have a surprise test scheduled on Monday. So what I need to do is there is a neural network. I have here one neuron. I'm drawing a network. You will have to find out the outputs. This is for your practice of the test. So you have to solve the output for this particular model where I have linear activation function, linear activation function in the hidden layer and threshold activation function in the output layer. The things I have written for you, just follow it and solve it. All of you solve it, and if you have the doubt in between, you can ask up. The weights are written on the arrows itself. The inputs are 0, 1, 1. You'll have to find out the output. So can anybody tell me what is the output coming at this point? Let me take up a different color. The neuron I'll be marking up in red. Can anybody tell me what is the output coming on that point? This neuron. Can anybody tell me what is the output coming at this point? Yes, anyone? Can anybody tell me what is the output coming at this neuron? That neuron I have marked up in red. The linear activation is there only. That means whatever is the value of net is your output. I got one answer. 0 as Nilesh written. So what one answer I've got as 0. So all of you just verify it. 0 from Supreet as well. So next is this neuron, the middle neuron. What is the output coming up out of this neuron? Two. Okay, what is from the lower one? Two again. Okay. So all of you please verify your calculations also. I'm just writing whatever the answer I'm getting from you all. I'm like, this is not any predefined question I've taken from somewhere. This is all the random weights I've given you. So all of you just solve it and then tell me the answers. So what is the final output coming up? The threshold I've taken here as 0.5. So you will have to compare your value, net value with 0.5, and your output will be either 0 or 1. So do it accordingly. All of you please find out the output. Nilesh told me that final output is coming to be 0. So all of you please verify yours. Yes, anybody who have got the answer except Nilesh. Nilesh have quickly solved it and he always solve it quickly, always. Very good, Nilesh. I got every time a good response from you. Yes, anyone else? Okay, I got one more answer. Okay, thank you. You're most welcome, Nilesh. Whosoever will be performing well, it will make me happy. So I hope you will complete it, and if any doubt is there, you can stay, otherwise you can leave. Okay, Supreet, you got the answer 0. It's fine. It's matching with Nilesh, so I hope this answer is correct for all.